In the age of mental health enlightenment that is the 2020s, we all know reality TV shows that should never have been greenlit. Tyra Banks' America's Next Top Model comes to mind. Certain seasons of Big Brother. Gigantic slides that cause exploding diarrhea for entire crew members. Or simply revolting hosts that use every lump, crevice, and hole in a cake as a disgusting euphemism for their fantasies.
You get it down, yeah?
Probably one of the more humane shows of the early 2000s, Who's Your Daddy? Where a woman had to guess who her biological estranged father was for a cash prize. The man in this scene is an actor who instead will receive the money if she guesses it to be him.
We were conceived in absolute love, and I loved your mother very, very much. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't think about you and regret what we did. I started looking for you because, well...
I looked for you too. I did.
Well, you found me.
The show Married at First Sight first aired in 2015. The premise is simple. Two contestants show up to their own wedding as bride and groom and say, "Yes, I do," with neither of them having met before. These are not standalone episodes, but rather a continuing development, as the meeting of the two people and the wedding is usually the first introduction of them. A camera crew follows them for several weeks on their way to their honeymoon and back to their respective day-to-day life. Each week a newly married couple is introduced, to keep newer viewers engaged, while the previously married couples are filmed on their honeymoons and in their day-to-day lives. In the UK, the people are in non-legally binding marriages to each other. Each week every couple decides anew if they want to remain married or not, in a so-called commitment ceremony. At the show's commitment ceremonies, each contestant chooses to remain in the production or withdraw, the latter of which the contestant's partner must agree to mutually. This has been criticised as sending the worst possible message to people who may be in toxic relationships, because we all know someone who has been told, if it's so bad, why don't you leave? The couples are guided by so-called experts. These experts coach the newlyweds on companionship, different love languages, and how to build their relationship. The most successful version of Married at First Sight is the Australian franchise. The UK's version had actually been changed to follow its format. Earlier seasons of Married at First Sight UK were meant to be more of a documentary, seeing people dating and falling in love over time. But this wasn't very lucrative for networks. Channel 4 wanted drama, and lots of it. Anything and everything to keep viewers invested. Married at First Sight is a Danish show. Despite television ethics and psychologists and Ofcom regulations, begs the question if reality TV is compatible with psychological welfare and safety. The agreement between the contestants and the production network goes a little something like this. Here is a nice 5-star hotel in a hot climate. All you need to do is to get into at least one disagreement and one fight a week in order to be eligible to win a cash prize. We'll pay your rent and bills for the time you're on the show and any other expenses, with no extra cost for you, except the footage of you throwing glasses, screaming like a lunatic, or even the occasional physical altercation. To be captured on camera, you will get paid once and there's no royalties for you. With the prospect of not only winning cash prize but also online fame and exposure, the deal is often too good to say no. Of course, Married at First Sight is not the first and will not be the last reality TV show to hit our screens. The ramifications of being exposed to instant fame and nowadays online fame has been a challenge for many participants. Big Brother was the first show to observe people 24 hours a day. It had strangers living together in a specifically designed house, giving them challenges and waiting to see what would happen. The psychological pressure of knowing you're on camera and the exploitation of people who have no psychological equipment to handle overnight fame is something that many contestants have struggled to adapt to once the show was over. A hostile house setup was also built to ensure maximum stress and constant engagement with other housemates. The open plan consisted of kitchen, living room and garden, all visible for everyone at any given time, ensuring maximum possible conflict through a lack of privacy. Imagine constantly seeing people who you do not know or like, and you being visible to them at all times. Ever since its inception, Big Brother has come under intense scrutiny for bullying, racism, rigging, stalking, harassing, and the physical and mental strain of appearing on the series. Big Brother was the first reality show to encourage voyeurism. By having it made public, there was no shame about it. And while some people can have successful careers after a reality show, it's certainly not the norm. A certain few have had long-standing careers in radio as models or getting paid for nightclub appearances. So we have to point out that there are certain personalities more designed for this kind of exposure and can thrive during and after those environments. Married at First Sight copies this formula to a certain degree. Unfavorable editing can also make stable, reasonable people seem like they're volatile and have no emotional regulation. It's a misconception that only people with personality disorders or attention seekers would go on a reality show. Married at First Sight has suffered severe allegations of assault. 2 women who appeared on the UK version say they were R-worded by their on-screen husbands. A 3rd woman claimed she'd been the victim of a non-consensual act. One of the women claimed she didn't want to proceed with the act, and her husband just smiled at her, put his hand on her knee, and said he would throw acid in her face if she refused. Channel 4 has been contacted by the London Police, aka the Met, with production currently paused and all of its previous episodes being pulled from streaming. Recently, 5 former members of staff on the show have claimed that the senior staff had an unhealthy obsession over whether the married couples were having sex or not. The ex-members of staff also claimed that the producers would deliberately try to upset the contestants for the sake of creating watchable drama. Lawyers for CPL, the production company that creates Married at First Sight, say the latest allegations are from a small minority of former workers, and the company's commitment to welfare is evidenced by the high consecutive return rate of crew across the Married at First Sight series. According to the complaints of former staff members, the executive producers had an unhealthy obsession over how many couples were having sex on the show. On the wedding night, there's an expectation for those of us who were working on the show that you should get some sort of hint if the couples are going to sleep together. Another former worker who also worked on Married at First Sight for several years says she raised concerns that some couples might not want to share a bed on their first night. They were alone with a stranger and they're not really married, she says. She claims a senior member of the production team told her, "Don't you get it? We want them to sleep together." Apparently crew members had also made bets with each other who would sleep together and high-five each other when the contestants did. Lawyers for the production company are saying that contestants are not pressured in any way to sleep with each other. Interestingly, Married at First Sight UK is the only franchise that has been hit with allegations and scrutiny so far. This would indicate that the Australian franchise has a healthier or more balanced production, but ironically it generates the most binge-worthy arguments. Reality TV has a way of calling itself non-scripted. That doesn't mean that the plot or the character arcs aren't manufactured. This takes many forms, with producers going up to contestants and saying that another contestant is talking negatively or spreading misinformation about them. Multiple retakes are shot. Under hot lights, aggravating trigger points are often shouted out by producers to get contestants amped up for filming. Even alcohol is often served with abundance to decrease any inhibition. What's more is that the people partaking are guests, not stars, so they are in no position to make demands for their welfare while filming. So the actual filming of reality TV, regardless of the content, is quite gruesome. Oftentimes contestants have to sign non-disclosure agreements and agree to give up any contact with friends and family for the duration of production. In some shows, they are also bound to stay in their hotel rooms until it is time to perform for the cameras again. What makes Married at First Sight so toxic is not only the explosive arguments on camera, but the fact that intimacy is the core reason for being there. These aren't contestants on a sports show or a music competition show. Allegations of violent, degrading, unprofessional, undignified portrayal of contestants have always been and most likely will continue to arise from reality TV shows. One of the reasons is that it is not a priority of production companies to combine safe environments with TV we want to watch. And while there may be certain safeguards in place, such as intimacy coordinators or on-set psychologists, the safeguarding will always take a backseat in the name of binge-worthy entertainment.